the bottom left-hand side, our blue Zerg player. This is a ByuL. And he did take a map off of his opponent here. In the top right, our red Terran player GuMiho. He did take a map off of him during the GSL qualifier. So that suggests that this might be a fairly close match. GuMiho has been looking good since he returned. Obviously, he's not 100%, but he's in general. He's had a strong return so far. He's had a return that has me believing that he's got good chances of continuing to do well and having a good having a successful return, basically. So I feel like GuMiho should be fairly content with what he's managed so far. Looks like it should only improve from here. As I do have this command center just setting up. It's coming on through and just getting its SCVs ready, a gas mining, all the good stuff right now. And all that good stuff on the way. As again, Hatch, Gas, and Pool coming up from ByuL on the other side. So ByuL's first game against Zaun, yeah, I feel like he was kind of a little bit off. Game 2, I felt like there was a lot of potential, just needed more with the mutas, and that was a major mistake letting the mutas be, left so alone. So that was definitely a bit of a shame. But yeah, no, I saw the potential in the game, so it'll be cool to see how he does against GuMiho, maybe someone who isn't quite as well-rounded right now and so on. So yeah, we shall see. So Overlord is going to be heading out to the upper right-hand side, as you do have Queens and Lings on the way in. A factory just building up as well. As this command center is coming through on the natural. Again, Overlord continues across, and extra Lings all just going to be finishing. You have this tech lab on the barracks already moving in, going to be finishing in a few moments' time. With that tech lab finishing up, we've got our factory completing. I can start up a Hellion to begin with here. We are going to see a starport dropping down on the tech lab as well. So starport on the way, fling speed coming up. And just continuing on through with the reactor building on the barracks. So all of this getting underway right now as our hatchery sets up on the third base. So really just super standard. Now one of the questions here is, does GuMiho mech in this series? If he does, I wouldn't imagine that necessarily happens in on Oxide per se. I would imagine maybe on a different map. I think second map 2000 atmospheres. He has been showing some decent bio play as well in TvZ. Remember casting something of him the other day as well, where he looked pretty okay with the bio. So I wouldn't mind really either or here for GuMiho. Obviously, I mean, a lot of what these guys will do here will probably revolve around what they did in that GSL qualifier match, which I didn't see. So maybe some mind games between the two of them too that we just can't really tap into without knowing, again, exactly how that prior history went down. Well, Cloak is coming through for the Banshees, and that just obviously tells us the exact opening. This Cloak Banshees off 2 bases, no third just yet, so very quick Cloak Banshees. And from there, the Overlord flies straight into the first Banshee. Well, that's amazing scouting. And now ByuL's going to see exactly what's up. I mean, he paid really Overlord speed, so he's going to know immediately what's going on. And that's why you get that Overlord speed, to be able to pick up this information. And as you see, Queen's able to block the ramp. The Hellion's going to get turned around, and they'll go back out over to the right side. Those Lings are going to run through and try to find a couple of different angles. It's going to be able to catch one Hellion. Nice little run by Spring, bring the other Hellions back home. Actually going to lose a second Hellion, so actually a really good run by this one Hellion at the back, low HP. If that had been in the front, it would have been in trouble too. The Banshee finds 3 kills, but is now deflected. And honestly, yeah, I don't mind it for ByuL. A couple of workers killed from the Banshee, obviously they're always going to add up, but I mean, killing a couple of Hellions, a little run by, forces the other Hellions back, gives them the freedom to spread creep without as many issues. There are the 2 extra factories, by the way, as we do indeed see mech from GuMiho. So he will mech it up on Oxide. And now very interested to see. I mean, ByuL's got the Overlord speed, so he should see this right away. I wonder if you'll cancel the Bane Nest, or if you'll keep it and then just add a Roach Warren anyway. It might be worth keeping it because it's something you can use when you're playing against mech. It's just you're not gonna, yeah, okay, cancels it instantly. I was gonna say you can use it, but a lot of the time it's used later. Like you wouldn't want to play like Bane. Like if you kept it now, he wouldn't make Banelings for a while. But typically when you play your Roaches, you then can add Banelings into that later on and play kind of Roach Bane instead of just Roaches, you know, and Roach Ravager. So this time he'll cancel the Baneling Nest right away. And like I say, we might see that added back in later down the line. A lot depends on what style he wants to play too. There's going to be double Thor on the way up from GuMiho, so we're not talking about battlecruisers. Double Thor will be perfect against what seems to be then mutas coming in, because without BCs, it wouldn't make sense to make those corruptors. Alrighty, well, obviously the Banshees keep you very safe from initial Roach attacks too, as we will just start up +1 missiles and that Roach speed, so going to get both of those underway right from the get-go. As a couple of gases will be finishing up, our Thor's still coming through, our Medevac's coming out, and our +1 vehicle plating going to be continuing on the armory. So all of that still being brought in as our Spire is just past that halfway marker, coming up to completion right about now. And yeah, all of these Roaches just pouring out. Really intrigued to see what the mutas can do. Obviously with the Thors on the map, it'll be tough to get damage, but it's not necessarily impossible. He's actually going to go more than just the first 2 Thors run by. Not 3 times. And there's only 2 reinforcing Hellions that just came down there. It's going to be enough to clean it up, though. Things get in the main. A little bit of scouting info, though the best scout would have actually just to be seen the fact that this is multiple Thors on the map. Starts an infestation, but you know, against the Thors like this, I wouldn't even mind seeing Swarm Hosts, but I don't think that's what we're seeing. I think what we're seeing is going to be mutas and maybe an eventual hive. If we go mutas at all. Maybe he doesn't go mutas yet. Maybe he just continues with Roach Ravager. Basically, just anything that would kind of do your focus on the ground. Because while Thors are okay there, you're kind of missing the splash damage that the tanks usually provide. And that's usually one of the main features of mech, right? So, that'd be nice if you could get the mutas out to clean up these medevacs, mind you. So that wouldn't be bad. And you could clean up the Banshees as well. So that could be kind of a bit of a double whammy, as unfortunately this mineral line is under fire. 10 workers going down. And now we are kind of in position to deal with these Thors a bit better, but damage has been done. And one Banshee remaining is going to find just a corner to sit in and pick away at units once again. More of those workers falling, and that is just eco damage that's going to be fairly painful for ByuL overall. Even losing an Overlord that's kind of in a weird place. Now we're building those mutas. I feel like these mutas could have been used just so much earlier, though. Like, he really focused on building Roach Ravager, but actually the mutas would have cleaned up the Banshees more easily. The mutas could have chased down these medevacs. I'm not sure how, you know, they can't take a straight-up fight against the Thors, but if you can force the Thors to lift up, then the mutas can jump on the medevacs. Well, that's a completely different story, right? Now the mutas, I feel like, are almost a bit too late to really, you know, show their true strength, as we do have Roach Ravager. Well, say Roach Ravager, just Roaches at the moment going to sit and knock down these rocks. Now there are siege tanks set up as well, though the mutas do not find an entry point around the right-hand side, so they're going to pull back a little bit as well. Tanks are firing, some Roaches taking some shots because of that too. We're just going to be seeing that Hyperflight Rotas still on the way up. Macfield Accelerator still moving through as well. And just going to be seeing our Mutalisks hanging around overhead with the Overseer nearby. So all of that just chilling as our Swarm Hosts are all underway. Our mutas are going to turn it back around once again over to this left-hand side and just trying to figure out where else they want to go. Like Ravager moves into the center, and these Hellions are going to roast up a bunch of the Lings initially as well. And here come the Locusts. Like I said at first, you know, when I saw that there was Thors, I actually wouldn't have minded Locusts. I just wonder now if it's a bit too late. They get down, some friendly fire is caused. Obviously, these Hellions do not have Blue Flame, and against Locusts, Blue Flame makes a big difference. I would love to see that upgrade Infernal Pre-Igniter coming through. And that's just so good against the Roach Ravager, though, so the axe gets pushed away. Yes, the mutas can show up, but they're just a little too late to actually catch the Banshees, which have already moved away at this point. It just feels like all these little things are just slightly going in favor of GuMiho. As unfortunate as that may turn out to be for ByuL, is he just can't quite find a breaking point, and at some point here, you know, we're now maxed out. If GuMiho can push and find a fight and just clean up one wave of locusts, the rest of the army of ByuL just does nothing against all of this mecha. So that's kind of the issue we will start to find ourselves in. Given a bit of time here as some Swarm Hosts move forward, Ling, Bane, Roach, Ravager pulls back, and a few Banes will start to morph in. I go those locusts heading towards the top side, but, well, they shouldn't kill anything, right? I mean, with that many Hellbats around, Ling's trying to engage through some Biles, actually nearly catch a Thor, and some Banes do show up, and they actually crash in for some of those Hellbats. I mentioned that Baneling Nest being brought back into play when we were talking about it earlier in the game. That's obviously an example of it right there, as you do catch those Hyperflight Rotor Banshees for at least one kill. The Mutas actually getting a bit of value themselves at least, and, you know, showing that they have some worth, because until now they've been pretty uninteresting. You know, they haven't really done all that much so far. To kind of push through for a bit of creep spread, you can see that ByuL is like, well, if you want to fight, we can fight. He's going to pop another round of Locusts up. The goal is going to be this command center. And I feel like he's going to force it to lift up before anything happens, and he seems to think so too, so he's going to turn the Locusts a bit more in this direction. He's going to crush through the Hellbats with the Banes. Gets rid of a lot of what is good against those Locusts, but they just can't quite land on top of anything else, so not much gain there. The Mutas will chase away the 5th command center. The biggest question is going to be, can you deal with this army? You need to be able to clean this up, and then basically, usually this happens in 2 parts. You fight, you rebuild, and you fight again. But, and he's got the money to rebuild, but if the fight happens on his side of the map, he's never going to get the chance to bring the units in to actually rebuild. Here we go, Bane's going to roll through. The first few Cyclones and Hellbats take some damage, but the tanks are sieged, and we really need these Locusts to land towards the siege tanks right now. Otherwise, it's going to be a major problem. Here we go. As we move forward, Locusts can even just be tanking, and that's fine too if they can just soak some of the damage for the other units to get forward here. A lot of tanks going down, and the last few are taking some serious damage as well. Both players still have a good amount of supply. Mutas overhead are just going to start picking away these tanks, but then the Cyclones show back up. They're going to get rid of a bunch of the Mutas. I think reinforcements should be able to take down the last few tanks and Cyclones, especially just reinforcing Lings. And if ByuL can just sweep in here and clean this out, the Banshee over on that side still just chilling, as we are going to see this push back. Good evacuation with the Medevac, saving 4 Cyclones, as new Mutas are on the way up, and both sides of this have just had an absolute disaster. I mean, both players have just traded out big time, right? A lot of units dropping from both players here. You see a ton, this line of factories, by the way. Talk about churning out a factory of production. I mean, this is just Ling's Hellion Cyclone at the moment, and Ling Bane should be alright against it. And you'll see the Roach is trying to back it up a little bit too. ByuL has a lot of money he needs to spend. He's got 15 lava, maybe doesn't quite know exactly what he wants to spend that on. He needs to spend it though, because right now GuMiho's ready to go with another attack. He's got a CC building on the 5th behind this, so the work that ByuL put in to deny that base is now coming to a close. I mean, ByuL does have all 6 bases that he's meant to have in this game. Resources lost is massively in GuMiho's favor, and that's why you need to stop this base getting back up, or to just win the game before it mines too heavily. And especially before the top left side of the map gets taken. And even more so now that he's going to lose his own bottom right. So, GuMiho doing the right thing, making the right moves, and putting himself in the right positions. As we are going to be having these Hellbats able to pick away at this hatchery. That's going to go down. That Spinecrawler falls. We do attack in. Ling is going to pick off that 4. And, well, if the Banes had continued forward, the Banes maybe could have made it for the planetary. I don't think they would have blown it up, but they could have got the SCV surrounding it, and then you never know. Still having to back it up right now as Hellions chase. Banshee coming through too. We're just going to see another round of Roaches pushing forward a little bit. This round of Locusts might do very well because they don't have any Hellions immediately nearby. They still got that pretty quickly though, didn't they? Only 1 Thor goes down. does feel like nowadays Locusts really lose a lot of their value early in the game, right? Like, they just gets to a point very quickly where the Locusts just die way before they do any serious damage. There's like a really fine tipping point where like Locusts can actually just kill so much, and another tipping point, and on the other side of it, they just do, they kill, take half a down, half a tank. I can't talk today. They take half the hit points off like a siege tank or something, and then they're all cleaned up. Somehow +2 melee finishes. This attack from GuMiho is obviously just continuing. As I stumble over words, it is just continuing, and is going to be a full cleanup in a few moments' time, as GuMiho is just going to have game number 1 in his hands. So, very fun first game, though. Again, I feel like ByuL showing a lot of potential, right? And this game. What mode are the Thors on? So I just saw this question in the chat. Yeah, definitely splash mode, because there's nothing for them to single target fire down, right? Like, it only makes a difference in the air attack, and the only things in the sky are mutas and locusts, so pretty much always going to be splash damage. You could maybe argue if the locusts were in low numbers, maybe like single target damage, and you just blast a couple out, but locusts are pretty weak anyway, right? So, and they're never in that low number, so yeah, pretty much always splash damage. That's a cool question. Something that I always like these questions from chat where, a few people might be wondering the same thing, That doesn't necessarily come up in the commentary. Well, it's good to drop some answers in the bottom left. Blue Zerg is ByuL. I say, really cool to have him here. As GuMiho from Sidestorm Gaming is on the top right as our red Terran player. Game 2 of this best of 3. Now, 2000 Atmospheres is the map I would have more so expected mech on. Maybe GuMiho's just going to play mech no matter what. Maybe he goes against the initiatives and plays ByuL here. I mean, ByuL's fine on this map as well. We've obviously seen this map played countless times with ByuL. Just get to sit back and chill for the early game then, nothing too odd happening. How's everybody doing out in the chat? How's everyone feeling? Has everyone been having a good week of Starcraft so far? Has everyone been enjoying the DreamHack games? I did not get to watch yesterday, but I saw some of the results were pretty fun. Looks like some pretty cool series. I didn't get to watch yesterday. I won't get a chance to watch today because I'm also working tonight, so I'm going to be really useless when it comes to casting tomorrow. Going to be like, so what do you think about this guy's chances based on that epic series they played 2 days ago? They're like, well, yeah, I mean, it was epic, right? They went to 5 games, epic stuff. They're like, oh, you love the strategy he used, right? I'm like, I don't know. Clem Marine Lord is insane. Yeah, Clem Marine Lord is really good. Clem Marine Lord is really cool. Hey, Blambed's email, thank you so much for the Prime for 20 months. Shit. What is Wardy's job? Starcraft. This. Yeah, tonight I'm casting the Belong Open Cups. It's a UK event. It's a UK tournament. I'm casting it this week and next week. So when I say I'm working, I mean I'm casting tonight. If I said I'm casting today, and then then I was gonna have to explain the whole thing, and now I've had to do it anyway, so I guess whatever. Yeah. Hey, yeah, Blambit's email again. Thank you so much for the 20-month resub on the Prime. And as that one link tries to sneak in, Fallos 177000 has snuck in with a little Prime sub as well. Thank you so much for the Primes on the channel, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. From the UK? You thought I was Australian? Yeah, I'm from the UK. Can you enter? If you're from the UK? Absolutely, I believe so. You want me to get you a link? Can you... If you ping me between the games, I'll get you a link. If you ping me like after this game or when we go to like a break screen, just ping me in chat. And I'll get you the link just in case I forget. Otherwise, I have to tab out right now, and that gets a bit awkward, you know. Is it going to be on this channel? No, it's on. I actually don't know the stream. I think it's Twitch. It's on like I don't want to say because I don't want to say it wrong. You know, I'll have to double check what channel it's on, but it's definitely not on my stream. I'm cast on some other channel. All of these Hellions coming through as our armory is going to be finishing up, and we do have a second factory start, so we're going to have a bit of a hellbat attack into mech. ByuL doesn't have Banelings ready yet. The Baneling nest is still just on the way at the moment. Just going to be seeing our Hellions continuing through. I mean, this is going to be bad, right? This is a lot of drones going down, and I always say when you're playing mech, you can give up these Hellions more easily because you're just going to build more of them. And so you still have the run-by defense and the, you know, the map control that Hellions provide while dealing amazing damage. And that's just an attack into ByuL's base, which does way too much. And didn't even have to morph in Hellbats, put it that way. He just won that out with Hellions, which is obviously pretty crazy. It's kind of wild. Appreciate the consistent good content. Hey, thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate it. Can you believe 2 years ago was the battle of the community casters? It was a really weird experience for me, because I was always good friends with Rifkin. I was always good friends with Rifkin as well, right? But it was always like, it's weird because we were good friends, but we were obviously like competitors, and we really did kind of directly compete, right? Like if we ended up casting the same qualifiers, we're directly competing. Although it wasn't really competing for a very long time, because, you know, for the longest of times, he would just have more viewers than me, so there wasn't much of a competition, and I think there was one time I like outviewed him on something or base trade on something, and it was only really because I was the usual streamer of that event and I was live like a little bit earlier than base trade, and I outviewed them all day. I was like, yeah, this is so hype. And you know, it's one of those weird things where it's not really a competition, but it was always cool to kind of see, like, you know, have a bit of, you know, see how I was able to do against base trade, right? Because that was kind of a sign of my own growth. And then last year, the start of last year, I just seemed to get more views than base trade, and it was kind of a really weird experience. Because it was just like, all of a sudden we just surpassed, and stuff happened, and obviously Rifkin stepped away from Starcraft a bit more and stuff, but it was kind of wild. As Blue Flame Hellions just show up for a bunch more kills. Drones dying over here as well. Lings do get the cleanup on that. As 8 drones do go down. But no, it was a very weird experience because, yeah, we weren't really competing for a long time. Only like a few months, and then stuff kind of swapped around. Yeah, guys, Rifkin, in case anyone's wondering, Rifkin basically stepped away from Starcraft because there's just too much Starcraft to run tournaments around, you know, with DreamHack. So he stepped away and was just tried out doing variety stuff for a while, found a lot of success doing it, and so he just stuck with being a variety streamer. He likes it a lot more. I'm pretty sure he makes a lot more money now than he did doing Starcraft because you don't have to pay out Starcraft events and stuff, and yeah, he's happy doing it, so he's very fun. If you guys like Among Us or Rust and stuff, he's streaming a lot of that on his channel still. It's definitely one of my lurky streams, you know, when you just put someone on to have some background noise. Yeah, he's doing good though, if you guys, in case anyone's wondering. Hellions gonna move into the center here, and a few consumers being cleared out. I know, sorry, not maybe a lot of attention on the exact outgoings of this game, but obviously the drones going down early has set the precedent for the rest of this game, and a few more Hellions just getting even more drones. And just now it's going to start getting interesting as we see Hellion Cyclone finally being up, but also moving in towards Hyperflight Rotor Banshees again. So GuMiho, not just battle mech on the ground, but battle mech in the sky. Fast-moving units that can trade and harass multiple places and just be all over the map. That's his go-to for the moment. The one good thing for ByuL is that he might be able to sustain against that harassment, and if he can just survive against that for a while, then maybe you can get back in this, because the actual fighting army of GuMiho isn't going to be amazing right away. Problem is, neither is yours. You lose another 10 drones to these Banshees, no Overseer ready, and it just seems to be a downward spiral in this game for our poor boy ByuL. So 2 Banshees escape away to the side, and 15 drones have died again, and Well, I like that ByuL's at least going to try and roll some Banes up into a mineral line. To me, that's one of the better things he could do, although it felt like that was maybe not quite controlled as well as they maybe should have been, moving in, just hitting the first SCV they find. I mean, I guess better to get that SCV than not to get it, because they're probably going to die anyway, but if it had been a defenseless third base, that probably would have been a mistake on the Banelings. This looks like GuMiho is smurfing. Well, I mean, you know, he just got a very good lead early, right? And to be fair, considering how much damage he's done, ByuL is still hanging in there, right? So it's not like ByuL is... I wouldn't say ByuL is being completely outclassed. I think he's being outplayed. I don't think he's being outclassed. You can see where the potential is, and where, like I say in the last game, you could see the potential. You know, he brought a good game for 12, 13 minutes. You don't do that if GuMiho is just completely on a different level to him, you know? So while GuMiho is obviously on a better level than him, it's definitely not, like, out of this world. It's not impossible to imagine ByuL being able to take some of these games, I think. Obviously not this one. He took way too much damage early, but if they played, like, a best of 7 or something, I'd give ByuL a map or two, I think. Just going to be seeing our bottom side base just being kept accessible for the Terran. No creep out the front of this area, right? So that means it's really easy to run up to and attack into that base, and that's something that I'm sure GuMiho will be thinking of utilizing as the game goes by, as the day goes by. A lot of additional Banelings morphing in. As we do have Cyclones getting a couple of lock-ons, some creep teamers being cleaned out. And these Banshees are going to actually fly through. The Banshees have just been very annoying. One of the reasons I kind of actually like the Mutas a lot in the last game, to have something to deal with the Banshees more easily. It's just going to be seeing our Banshees, are going to continue through the south side. And just going to take a little bit of a turn. Alien Cyclone moving around nicely. Bane's crash in on the upper left, just going to clean out a watchtower. Well, Starport still coming through. Just going to be seeing our fusion core on the way. Obviously, GuMiho just says, well, I can see just, you know, eventually probably need a bit of a transition to really end this game. So just kind of, you know, setting up for that already. And we'll have that ready to go sooner rather than later, it would seem. You'll see these Hellions are running down over here. The Cyclone's coming through for a bunch of lock-ons. Roach Ravager gets cleared out. I see more of this Lingbane coming through here, just taking down a couple of units on that watchtower. Raven on the way up from GuMiho, just going to be seeing everything kind of splitting out at the moment and hanging around a little bit, as we do see Drilling Claws continuing up as well. All of these Zerglings just settling down, and a few of these Banelings morphing in also. Still just pushing our way around the south. We're going to get rid of a few more creep tumors and plenty of this creep. I mean, this base has always been a problem, right? Just no creep in front of it. You can see GuMiho basically walks straight up on top of it before anything happens, but those tanks maybe could have sieged sooner. And now not a single tank shot will go off, and ByuL is just going to blast his way through this GuMiho. Talk about overconfidence. He walked straight in, didn't siege up anywhere near in time. Big problem right now is there's actually so many Banshees, he can't really do anything about them, and GuMiho will probably do damage here to make up for a lot of his losses, but he just went a little bit too crazy there. Like I say, these tanks could have sieged up back here a long time ago. He just ran everything in, and everything just crashed through from ByuL. And suddenly ByuL is back in the game a little bit, provided he can deal with the Banshees. I mean, given time, I think GuMiho's obviously going to bounce back, but it gives ByuL a way better chance than what he originally had. This is way, way better than what we were talking about a short while ago, as a parasitic bomb forces the Banshees to split away. Battle cruisers on the way. We need to get to Corruptors, and ByuL does not have a gas bank, and especially losing the 6 o'clock base. Losing the gases here. He doesn't have gases on this base yet. Gas is what he needs right now. He needs to get these extractors up and running Without those extractors, you can't afford the corruptors, you can't deal with the battle cruisers, you can't deal with the battle cruisers. You just can't win this game as these banshees are already out of control. I mean, if you can't deal with the banshees, how are you going to deal with the battle cruisers, right? You know, if you can't deal with the the more basic air units, then yeah, what would you do against the more complicated ones? And that is absolutely the problem here. Is that's a nice fungal parasitic combo. In fact, that's a really nice fungal parasitic combo, and we do see those banshees dying. But again, to having to spellcast to clean up these units, it's just not really normal. It really isn't. And a lot of what we're building is just units that can go forward for one big fight now. If those BCs end up coming across the map again, there's no answer, and there's no money to build an answer, and that's where the issue stands. He can build a ton of queens. He's got minerals, and he is building queens. I mean, that's going to help, but also late game, and those BCs, they've got +3 vehicle plating, so they're going to be very powerful, very strong. They're not going to, they're not going to take a lot of damage from queen shots, put it that way. In fact, they're going to be pretty great against queen shots, so yeah. A little bit rough, isn't it, as we do line up over here. Hellions having to run back from Lingroach Ravager. It's going to be seeing a couple of abducts coming through, those tanks going down, and a few Banes crashing in as well, and that planetary fortress will also drop down here, so that's going to be a dead planetary as ByuL is just going to type out GG on the bottom side of the map. The BCs are having a little bit of fun as well. So as he sees the BCs and his attack doesn't go so well, he types out GG. And GuMiho is going to take the 2-0 to move